If you lived in the 20th century, that means born in the 1900s, you know that lately they can't come up with any new ideas when it comes to movies. They either do remakes or sequels. For example, Spider-Man is one of the oldest Marvel characters. So when he got a little bit boring, what did they do? They spiced things up. They changed Spider-Man to Spider-Ham and Peter Parker to Peter Porker. As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into the Extreme channel. Today we're looking at a custom statue. That's right, this is Spider-Ham. Not Spider-Man, not Peter Parker, but Peter Porker. So if you're unfamiliar with who and what this is, a custom statue is a private unlicensed commission. This is extremely rare. There's only 20 of these in the world. Now, Spider-Ham is a version of Spider-Man from a different universe. Recently popularized in the animated flick Into the Spider-Verse right here, Peter Porker right here became a household name. Now, he's been around much longer than that movie. That was just kind of when he was more popularized into pop culture. But if you're a loyal Spider-Man fan, you've known about this character for quite a while. So I bought this statue for a few different reasons. Reason number one is I actually own its counterpart. This Dr. Doom. That's right, it's Dr. Doom as a duck. I've done a review on it. You can check it out. And hold on to that because there's a huge Easter egg in here that is absolutely awesome that ties back to that statue. But the more important reason that I bought him is I actually own a ton of Spider-Man statues. Both Spider-Man, villains, and of course different versions of Spider-Man. Whether that's Miles Morales or Spider-Gwen. So I'm at a dilemma I kind of need your help with after I do the Extreme review today. Should I pair him with that Dr. Doom and some of my other fatty statues that I have right here because it's kind of comical, a little bit funny? Or should I pair him with all those other versions of Spider-Man at my office? I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm kind of leaning towards my office. But today we're going to do a review on this piece, and I've been waiting quite a while, but he's finally here. And just as a spoiler, I am very satisfied. Now, the question is, are you going to be satisfied? And if you're a woman, I really want to know that. And if you thought that was a sexist remark, Karen, you can go satisfy yourself. But let's dive into Spider-Ham, and I gotta tell you, like I said, I'm very satisfied. He was better than I expected, and I'm just laughing my ass off. I can't wait to show my kids this awesome character. They did some amazing stuff with this statue, even though it's kind of a goofy character. All right, so let's kick it off talking about concept. Now, as cool as the concept is, the design that we're gonna talk about in a second. All right, so kicking off here, first, I love what they did with the base. There's two different things going on with the base. On one side of it, it's scaled correctly for Spider-Man climbing up the wall. And I absolutely love that. It shows off his powers. That's always what you want to do. It's a very dynamic aspect to it. There's some design things we're going to talk about. Then the other part of it, it's scaled a little bit differently, especially with this top steeple. And there's an Easter egg in the design we'll get to in a second that I'll tell you why they did that. So it's simple yet advanced. I like the fact that the building itself is the actual base. I like the fact that there's some interesting aspects on the back and then definitely in the middle. You can kind of see it there in the camera. We'll take a closer look at. So it's fantastic. It shows Spider-Man and his power. It's goofy. It's hilarious. There's some Easter eggs. So I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the concept. Really impressed despite how basic it is. Now design, that's where the Easter eggs are. Before we do that, we're going to measure it and look at the unboxing and assembly. So the widest point is about 12 inches. The deepest part is about 8.5. Now I believe this is supposed to be 1/4 scale, so 4 times smaller than a real life version. And it's a little over 17 inches on the tallest part. Now Spider-Ham is kind of an interesting character to scale because he's got bigger features, bigger head, but he's shorter. So that's why I think this is definitely true 1/4 scale. It'll be interesting when I put him next to the other Spider-Man pieces. If you want to see what that looks like, make sure to check out the Extreme Channel Instagram, Facebook page, and TikTok. But let's look at the unboxing and assembly. Very small box with a decent weight to it. Traditional custom black foam, no art box, which you guys know I'm not a fan anyway. So it was just one layer. It was a pretty deep layer with the base in there, but here's everything uncovered. Nothing broken. Now, before we dive into the Easter eggs that I'm really excited to show you, check out the Coldest water bottle. This is the sponsor for the video. It's an awesome thermos type bottle that comes in all shapes, colors, and sizes. It's better drinking out of this than a Troughs at Spiderham. So make sure to check out the link in the description below. You can not only win a free one, but there's also a link where you can use the code EXTREME, get a discount, and help support the channel. These are fantastic water bottles. Seriously, my family owns 3 or 4 different products. We use them all the time. Worth checking out for sure because they hold other stuff besides water, like manly stuff like White Claw or Truly. All right, so this is the Easter egg. This is where the building is kind of scaled different. On the inside of it right here, check it out, you can see an exact tiny replica of the Dr. Doom statue they did. So that tells even more to the story in the concept that I kind of wanted to hide from you guys in the beginning. He's climbing up the building ready to invade the lair or the tower of Dr. Doom. So it adds even more to this statue. And honestly, when I buy statues, if I see enough that I like right there, I'm sold. And I don't like to see work in progress photos, so I had no idea that was on the inside. This takes the statue to the next level. Now, as you saw with the assembly, it went pretty well with one exception we're going to talk about. But first, you have 2 different portraits on this, which is awesome. First is the mask portrait right here. And then you have one where he's pulled the mask off. Now, in this one right here, the ear isn't quite going in all the way, so I'll probably have to file that down a little bit. Not really a huge deal, but it is a minor flaw. And I really like both portraits, so I'll probably keep them both handy to switch them out from time to time. So I do have a concern how long he'll be able to stay on the wall. He's held by a magnet and a peg, so I would hope for a long time. But honestly, you never know, especially when they only manufacture 20 of these. But either way, I give the design a 4 out of 5. I love the Easter egg. I love the switch out heads. I love the fact he's actually hanging on a wall. And I love the different scaling that they did with this. Paint and sculpt. I'm really impressed by this guy. I'm more impressed than Dr. Doom. I definitely think there's a few areas that could have been done better, but let's take a look. All right, so let's start with this guy and we'll end with his second portrait. But the building, I like the sculpt on it. I like the bricks. I'm not a huge fan of the paint. The way the shading is kind of mixed out all over. See at top, you see it a lot lighter up here, a lot more of that extra shading they dabbled on top, that gray color on top of the blacks and purples. And then in between is kind of messy. Not a fan of that at all. You see some areas it's yellow, some areas it's white. I think that's a huge miss in my opinion. It's probably my biggest issue with the statue, but the farther you move back, it definitely does look better. You have this concrete look, including the little base down here, which is obviously there for stability. Same with this concrete look here. Looks fantastic. Looks like real concrete. And then the top here looks all right. Interesting, you know, I wish they would have left this off because it kind of destroys the illusion of the scale when you see Spiderham. But the paint looks fine. Interesting color, the orange. Almost reminds me of fish with the gills, or with the scaling here on top. Little pedestal on the upper top right here. Some bad lighting right there. But they have a little bit of ornate design on the side of it. I think this helps. What I don't like is how it's the same scale over here. And then on the inside where you see Dr. Doom, that just looks great. See some brick in the wall behind it, almost like a stained glass window. In his palace with the pillars. Very nicely done. Spiderham, Mr. Porker here. A couple cool things going on. So I like the texture in his suit. Kind of the dotted pattern that is in the red area only, where it's smooth in the green. You know, clearly we're not going to look at anatomy because he's a pig. So, but you do see some muscles in the arms and around the back. He's a pretty fit guy for a pig. The black lining, the paint's really clean on that. The eyes, the paint's a little caked on near the sides of it. I think some shadowing around the corners of the eyes would have helped. I like how his nostril, this is part of, kind of has his spider symbol on it. Classic Spiderham. But overall, it looks fantastic. I think they did a really nice job. He's actually shooting out his version of the web right there. A little bit of a paint issue right there as well. Nothing Mrs. X can't fix. And then they have these birds we really didn't talk about, and kind of goofy. They're not done the best. They look more like plastic toys, but I think they add a little bit of comedy and hilarity to the statue. So I'm glad they added them. One's comforting the one that's freaking out. And then let's look at his unmasked portrait. So not a ton of detail when you look at the hair. I think that it would have been better without the hair, even though it's technically more accurate. I think some good shading in here. Remember, you don't want true flesh tones like a human, but what they would have in a pig. And he looks pissed, which is kind of hilarious. And this is very cartoony, as it should be, because you don't want a lot of realism to a character like this, because I think that would be kind of weird. It takes away the goofiness that's there, but my God, he's scaring me right now how pissed he is. So I'm not a huge fan of the mouth down here, but it's kind of covered up the way he's displayed. And even the eyes, like I said, kind of that cartoony look. But I'm still a fan of this. I think it flows well with the statue. So overall, some pros and cons on the paint and sculpt. I don't think it takes away, the flaws take away from how cool this piece is, though. All right, so paint. Really bothers me, the white that we talked about on here. It looks weird. It looks like it's caked on. So I think that's a negative. Some of the shading that they tried to do on top of it, I don't think it matches. Spiderham, as we talked about, he looks pretty damn good. I'm pretty impressed with him, other than some of those issues around the eyes. So I think the paint's a solid 3 out of 5 on this. It's not amazing. Sculpt, I like the brickwork. I like the tiny Dr. Doom. The birds are iffy, kind of an afterthought on that. Obviously, their expression on them, like we talked about, is comical, and I don't know how accurate they're supposed to be, so I love them and hate them at the same time. I think they did a really nice job with Spiderham. I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 5 on the sculpt, almost a 4 out of 5, but I do like it quite a bit. All right, so value on this piece. Very rare piece, very rarely done character, especially in this scale. He was only $425. Not too bad at all. Of course, shipping was $100 to $200 more. I can't remember how much. So you're about $500–600 all in. That's the price of a 1/4 scale statue, which is about what this is. And they only made 20 of them. And Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse is a pretty popular franchise. So I think the value on this guy, honestly, is a 5 out of 5. I think this is fantastic. I think this is something quirky people would like, even if they're not statue collectors. I think it's going to hold that value for a long time because it's done pretty well. Now, does this have the X factor? That's kind of a final score for me. Is it a 5 out of 5 statue? It's not. It's a secondary character that affects it a little bit. Some of the paint issues we talked about. But I really am digging him. I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5. I think they did some ingenious things here. They pulled it off. I can't believe there's an edition size of only 20. I feel very lucky to have him. I love this one a lot more than Dr. Doom. Not that Dr. Doom was bad, but this guy is just, I don't know, maybe I like pigs. I don't know, maybe I'm a chubby chaser. Who knows? Anyway, let me know what you think of Peter Porker in the comments below. Is this a cool statue? Do you absolutely hate stuff like this? I know some of this quirky stuff people are just not into. The reason why I ask you to comment is because of this. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Again, thanks so much, guys. If you haven't, please hit the like button on your way out. It really helps the channel. Check out some of these other videos, but make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. We get stuff like this all the time. I will see you very, very soon. I don't know why I keep doing that. It's hard to end stuff.